So talking about cryptocurrencies, the most important, the best known, and the most highly used cryptocurrency is Bitcoin, of course. And I believe at this point everyone has heard of Bitcoin, but what really is it? Bitcoin's been around for about 12 years, created by a programmer named Satoshi Nakamoto. At least that's his or her pseudonym. So Bitcoin is the original cryptocurrency, and it has gained in popularity quite a lot. Its current market capitalization is about 900 billion US dollars, and that's actually even down a little bit this year. So its value, its dollar equivalent value currently is about $48,000, and that's also down from about 60, just above $60,000 this year. So what we look at here is something that has developed incredibly well over the last 12 years, and it actually represents sort of the backbone of the crypto economy, not just in terms of its functionality, but in terms of its meaning for the crypto economy. So what does it mean, the backbone of the crypto economy? Well, it means that based on the success and also the use case of Bitcoin, a lot of other coins have emerged. So Bitcoin is just one of the many coins that are out there. We actually call Bitcoin, we just call Bitcoin, whereas other coins we call altcoins or alternative coins. That's sort of how important Bitcoin actually is in the ecosystem. So what's the value of Bitcoin, in fact? What does it bring to us? Well, first of all, it is a peer-to-peer system, right? So the original white paper actually by Satoshi was called a peer-to-peer electronic cash system. So the idea was really to create a digital cash system that allows us to transfer value from person A to person B, from actor A to actor B, electronically, and in such a way that it cannot be repeated. So that's one of the problems that actually Bitcoin solves, is that you can do a transaction once and only once. So that is a huge problem, of course. If a transaction can be repeated, Bitcoin makes sure that it's a unique transaction, and in this sense actually enables this type of peer-to-peer payment system that is being invented here. So Bitcoin, as other cryptocurrencies do, relies on blockchain technology to function. In fact, Bitcoin has its own blockchain, or you could also turn it around and say the Bitcoin blockchain has its own coin, which is Bitcoin. So this is how this works. It is a native coin to a blockchain that has certain characteristics that define how Bitcoin actually works. Well, how does it work in practice? Well, in order to send a transaction, a certain amount of value that we now know can be stored digitally, what we do is we create a wallet that holds that value and has a certain address. We can send this value to another wallet that has a certain address, sort of the name on the mailbox, if you will, the public address. And the way it's done is, how do you do it? The way it's done is that we have a public key that allows us to send those transactions from a certain wallet. So a wallet really has its public address and has a private key, and the private key allows us to actually do a transaction. That also means, and this is really important to remember, that this private key basically is equivalent to whatever is in the wallet. So if you hold that key, which is a string of letters and numbers, essentially a cryptographic key, it means you hold access to whatever is in that particular wallet that this key belongs to. And that's a crucial component of the whole crypto ecosystem. Same is for the other wallets, right? So it receives the transaction. Now, if I receive that transaction and I want to send it onwards or part of it, I will again need that key. So if I want to access my funds, I need that key. And this is the difference here between the centralized and decentralized system. In this case, here I hold the key. I'm the only one who holds the key, and I can access my funds. I do not rely on anyone else to give me access to my funds, right? So this is perhaps one of the fundamental differences to remember between a centralized system, where I rely on somebody else, another institution, a bank perhaps, or in most cases, in fact, a bank, to give me access to my funds. So in fact, if I have the key, if I have the cryptographic key, I'm the holder of this account and no one else can take this from me. No one else can interact with it. If I lose the key, that's it. I have no longer access to my funds. And if somebody steals that key, that person then will have access to my funds. So here is a really crucial difference to the system, and it's a kind of a transfer from an agent, an intermediary, to the individual person or entity that holds the keys. So earlier we talked about transparency in this crypto universe, and for Bitcoin this is exactly what's happening, right? Each of those transactions that we just talked about are recorded on the blockchain. They're recorded on this distributed ledger that Bitcoin relies on to function. And that means that each transaction can be traced. Each transaction has its unique individual number on it, and that number is recorded on a blockchain, and we can go have a look at it, and we know this went from this wallet to that wallet. Now, it doesn't mean that we know who holds the wallet. That's a different story, but we can trace inside of the system each of those transactions completely transparently. So a lot of times when we hear criticism about blockchain being used as a means for hidden transactions, for money laundering, we're actually talking about maybe the lack of association between the wallet and their owners, the ones who control it. We're not talking about the Bitcoin network itself. This is really transparent. And in fact, it's been possible to trace back transactions by simply associating the owners and their wallets. So it's not completely impossible to do that. But the Bitcoin network itself is really not the problem.